welcome to our lovely future humans. Those who are new, you might want to tune into a couple of our episodes, but if not, totally cool. Let's continue chit-chatting about how living the highest level of spirituality is you being yourself, number one, which also means you're expanding on ascension days. So we just had our equinox and we had a solar eclipse, and you are leading with the real self, so your body's connected, which means that you are never alone. Your 1-year-old has you, and you know how to activate the body in ventral vagal state. Okay, so it's important because you can clear the clutter in your mind while collaborating with your emotions. So you don't feel tired in the morning, you don't have any kind of addictions, which are those things that have consequences but feel good. For the people who have done the healing, they know all about getting rid of their unhealthy self-soothing patterns. Otherwise, tune into our other episode and you'll find out about a story that happened yesterday, which I was like, okay, again, the therapist, they told me this would happen, but really, so a fool with a tool is still a fool. And Pinocchio falls down 3 times, whatever, 4 times before he finally figures it out, and we are not impressed. So it's not impressive to see human beings as I got older. By the time I was a teenager, I knew, okay, you made some mistakes, but it's totally cool. Enlightened ones, self-agents, being yourself means that you do not need external validation emotionally, and that's because your soul's journey and your life is yours. And so your 0-1-year-old, you're attached. Panicky is not attached. Panicky. I have a default mode network that is not helpless. So I feel at ease, and when I will be anywhere and I fall down, I will know that help will come. I just don't know what I'm going to get, but I will know it will come, and I will have faith, thanks to God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, Akash Source, Anima Mundi, but also thanks to science. And science-based is what proves that spirituality works because of the ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises alongside the meditation and mindfulness for integration of the brain and the ventral vagal state being strengthened. But what works with these, and above all, is that you are owning the sense of self. So none of yoga or mindfulness or meditation help people when they don't know how to self-regulate in their ventral vagal state. And that's because, as Dr. Amy Pegan points out, it's not willpower or your motivation. It's actually the body. The body is what matters. So I will notice who's doing bad resilience, and then I will notice when I meet Pinocchio and he's on the island, like this dude who completely just blurted out ridiculous stuff. So I'm not going to talk about that. You can go tune into the story if you want. But it is being you is living the highest level of spirituality, knowing to help others and ask no expectations. So you don't expect mediocre individuals to move out of that because they refute to notice that their unhealthy physical lifestyle comes because of a mental, emotional, unhealthy self-soothing. There's an avoidant who hones in and makes the point again. I mean, really, there's just so many of them that confirm once again and again. Like Janina Fisher says, it's not self-sabotage. They're just not ready to go and explore the implicit memory and to then do what it takes, the work, as Patrick Chan would point out, to get themselves out of the self-righteous batons, out of the projecting of their emotions that are completely immature, out of, like a Terry would point out, their grandiosity. In fact, let me read you a couple of quotes. Enlightenment is not about light. It is about a vision beyond light and darkness. Thank you, Sadhguru. So we know all about lightness and darkness. They're complementary, and there's no demons. At worst, there's Gargamel right here. Hey, Gargamel, what's up? Your past lives through you until you are the one who owns the past of you, and then it still lives through you. So you are going to have the capacity to know what the purpose of your life is when you're owning that higher consciousness, which is what our podcasts, they're always about, how it's powerful not only to do spiritual but also personal growth. But that's because you are a body connected. So you also do emotional intelligence development, mental intelligence development, and you maintain healthy relationships. And when you meet someone who's not healthy, you don't shame them. It's none of your business. So this is where some people are like, oh, you allow it? What? You a martyr superior who needs a therapist? Go. No, we don't say that either. We just leave it alone. Because when someone's acting entitled like that, that's, again, the exact moment in time where I learned all about teenagers. You don't do what we say. You're right. And I was such a hypocrite. So Maria sounds like she wants to tell people what to do when I'm just sharing. I learned how to say I'm sharing my subjective opinion. And sometimes I forget to say it, and then people begin to get all defensive. And I say, I was just sharing my subjective opinion. Oh, you're just trying to climb up ladders. No, I actually am not. I don't do an end game. I'm just talking. So open-ended socialization. But you're going to change my mind. No, is your mind that fragile that I'm changing it? I didn't realize that I could change your mind because it's your mind, it's your brain. I take information that I learn and I share it. Am I supposed to gauge what I can share, not share, because you don't know how to own your own mind? Is this what's going on? So you don't do any of this with people. When people begin to speak, you're just going to know what you got. And so when people are with shame unhealed, it's not surprising that people want to get away from shame. And some people learn to do that through grandiosity, terror real. And so he mentions how they push harder and they fight to stay in control with the shame lurking underneath the surface, which is what the sad reality is, because they're still staying in their sense of control for a sense of predictability. But their unhealthy fear is all the shame that's in their body. Okay, so you have no expectations because, again, they will show their hand. The minute they make up a bullshit excuse like this dude for, like, we were talking about some random human being and I started to share attachment trauma education and they're like, yeah, I'm totally healthy. I totally don't need anything. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't remember what I said, but I'm like, okay, like this person, again, go tune in. I want to visit some other stories with you all. So all people who have an easy solution, but they don't choose it. Patrick Tian, Terry Real, bunch of good therapists, anyone and everyone. And it's really a sad story. But we allow our ancestry to be a stepping stone and not a trap. So we allow our past, thank you, Sadhguru, I gave you some of his quotes too, support us to keep learning. So our good modern day scientists, they share how open-ended inquiry with no goals helps us to develop strength, courage, and curiosity, which is what we get to do on Ascension Days for those who are bodies connected. Okay, so like it or not, as Sadhguru points out from a couple days ago, life will make you perform, well, it doesn't, but kind of circus juggling and acrobatics. If you are prepared, you can do it joyfully. And that's where not everyone is prepared, so they think that smiles are fake because we can't be happy all the time. While they don't understand, Sadhguru again, that to stand firmly on the ground and still reach out and touch the sky is the essence of the spiritual process, which is what anybody who is in the highest level of spirituality can tell you. So for me, my foundation is God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and then I became a mystic. And my foundation has not changed. And as Sadhguru also points out, God will not intervene in your life. It is your life. And that's why he always tells me not to judge my brothers and sisters of human suffering, a waste of my fucking time. And then when I moved out into more of Akash Source and the mysticism stuff, I'm like, okay, that became fascinating. Also, God taught me not to play know-it-all. But the fascinating part is that we're all a big ball of energy, so we'll be able to tap into each other, okay? And that's why the oversoul doesn't get smaller if you're doing the highest level of spirituality. I've been ascending as a mystic. I was already doing downloads before, but I didn't realize it. The spiritual gifts, clairs, they're all one and the same. Neuroscience looks into it. So the part about if you don't believe, that's, welcome, meaning woo-woo pseudoscience. Here's a place for all of intellectually, emotionally intelligent people, which is why we like to chit-chat, okay? And I make it my mission to try and make sure we don't have any of the very boring black and white thinkers who want to correct us. So correcting, we don't need to correct each other, and we are curious. So the tone, the tune, then being aware, also, it's actually very easy for functional child adults to mediate between splinters and there's no ruptures really. So the community here that I am trying to, again, ensure we build are people who enjoy themselves and they don't feel entitled, and they also don't want to bring their charge. So they can have a subjective opinion on a different law, different politic, whatever, and they won't be all in your face about it. Okay, so we want to build Dharma people, not the karma ones who are. Ugh. So while they think that they're doing something impressive, they're actually treating their body like shit, and they're not impressive because they could continue conversing the way they are with a discerning equanimous tone, and they think that that means we have an issue with anger. versus understanding that one, anger gets to be matured and mastered, but also anger is needed if I'm presented with a bear. But see, I'm a body, and I'm a 4'9" body, so my anger to correct will not necessarily come up at all because I will not be fighting, okay? So people who like to chime in with other people and emotions and that all of this is where consistently learning how to leave it alone is what we get to do. The capacity for them to continue to flock to different groups is very amazing, but I'm very confident as we move forward, our community here at IHP, that it will be successful because of what I choose to discuss and how I choose to bring it to you. First of all, being yourself, people think that you shouldn't. It's the worst advice ever. That's for people who don't understand being yourself. The ones who are cocky about it and think that they're the best at the best at the best won't like to hear that everybody's the best. So people who are humble are the only ones who are going to keep coming back, and those who are intellectually humble too and curious. And so once again, the ones who don't like, they're probably just going to, like they do with anyone, bash at people. That's something that I was ever going to be like, oh my God. So you're not trying to prove points if you're doing what your soul's journey is on. Your self is on. You're sharing, and then you're caring. And you also know that on these days, those who had it less fortunate, it's a lot more challenging for them. But they could choose to have an open-ended inquiry. And they could choose, therefore, to develop strength, courage, and curiosity when they get angry, sad, or afraid, surprised, disgusted, or happy. The thing is, I don't think they get the other ones because I think they're emotional body. Because the minute you're so happy just with anger means that you didn't have the possibility to be that in your home. While if I'm at ease with all my emotions, but then with strangers, I'll freeze because I'm with strangers and they're bigger than me. Again, just using Maria's story. So to me, it's not a problem that I have with anger. Again, using so that you can understand, everyone has a different relationship. If I am powerful, I will want to refine that which is the anger. I will want to feel like the angry Buddhist is called a master of my body. Because the minute that, also when you get irritated and you begin to get angry, you're going to notice your brain dumps down to the second. If I get all passionate in a way about our conversations, I get very small-minded because my brain begins to hone in. And that's when I begin to me, yes, I'm focusing, but I'm losing the bigger picture, which is instead what you want to bring so that you can carry on with wisdom and just food for thought and have a good time. And so living the highest level of spirituality, again, it's being yourself, and you always expand on ascension days because your heart expands with you. And when you have people who fall down, you always pick them up. And it doesn't matter if they've pushed you down, you will always pick them up because, again, God asks us of two things. Well, the Christian basics. To believe in God as one and only, right? Even though we can call Akash source, all the words in the book, divinity, you name it. We're not it. We're a piece of the energy. It's a very different story. So it knows what's going on, and that's why we don't need to step in. We're not saviors. We are here to lead by example, and Jesus is the second. And he showed us the way. You forgive because they don't know. Stephen Porges confirms biological rude people don't know what they're doing. Bessel van der Kolk confirms. All of these smart, great ones confirm. And when I see people that do what they've confirmed, I can't help this feeling. No, I will turn the other way and the cheek. And blessed are those who believe without seeing, because I know I got an angel in front of me. They just chose not to go grab themselves and put themselves back online. And I can't do anything because I'm not it. Number one, they have free will. Number two, but as the attachment trauma educators pointed out, they don't like my ventral energy anyways, or my healthy self-worth, or my healthy boundaries, or my healthy anything. They will turn it around, and that's where you forgive because they don't know. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. You don't cast a stone because I ain't perfect and not by a chance. And I think I said them all. Forgive, blessed, the stone, and I forget more of it. Yes, the kingdom of God is within every person. That one. They just won't know it. Self-loathing, gut wrench, torn apart. It's really illuminating to see people who will have walked a path and then they will stop and just like the choo-choo train. No, they won't do what the choo-choo train did. Circumstances in the night, merry laughing and handsome, and mirror an invasion of reflection of trust. This is my body sharing with you all. Candlelight illuminates damage beneath the feet with wave of lights. I have never walked one day in your shoe, and I love to meet all people. And my facade friend is the only reason why I don't tell people exactly what I think, because he showed me what insecure people are. And then the attachment trauma educators proved it. And I wish I would have known attachment and trauma education a long, long time ago. I will still remember, because then I would have known exactly what I was dealing with every single one of the very unfascinating, uninteresting human beings that I'm very happy to not have to watch as they completely, like this other human being, throw their life away, because it really isn't funny to watch people as they have a solution. And that's the part that God tells you, like he tells me, that we are not here to call the shots. So when people say there's demons, energy vampires, and dark auras, they've forgotten their place. They also don't know science, but they have the ghosts of their past, and they've judged humanity a curse and their feelings, and they just use the ancient one's ways and blah, 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 blah. So that's why I actually didn't think the 4D would stick around, but now that I know who they are, all I can tell you is that they use their anger and they don't make a transformation. They just talk about how torture it is to transform, and then they continue to wear those masks that are unimpressive because they're unseen, and I get to meet their shadow part. Well, for those of us who have a real self, we are, in fact, are one and one and only, because we have an open heart. And then when you meet those who are like this, we'll become a we. So people who expand with us, they join us because they don't want the fakos. The fakos, they're happy being how they are, and they say the system is trying to keep them down, or that there's some monster that they're fighting. And that's why every time whether it's the moon or the sun or any of it, a mystical shaman will know how to use their blade. It will be one that uses the emotions, the heart, and their human journey, and it will be one that is in harmony with Pachamama and with their own sorcerer, because they will be their own child, because they will know how to navigate their own water, their own emotional plane, and to flourish like the corn, and to have passion like the fire, and to flow like the wind, and then to be lightning and love, and know that you don't ever sacrifice. You don't give up anything. Cosmic karmic balancing. If you're doing Dharma, you will always have your tree of life expand. I'll never forget when I actually had this experience, and I was very happy to be able to do the right thing when the time came again. And I think and hope always that a little bit of difference, maybe, but reality is, who knows? Because at the end of the day, you can't make someone love themselves first. They can only be the ones to know that if there is a broken, cracked foundation, it's fixable, because you all can own your real self and have light and darkness complement, and therefore know that, one, you're never alone, and that yes, humans may be very quite different, but we all want the same thing. Heart that recognizes a heart in another. We all have child parts, and the ones who don't want to believe it, they don't have a relationship with theirs. So we don't hang out with mediocre, ignorant human beings, and they won't want to hang out with us because our ventral energy is yucky to them, as well as all of our equanimity, discernment, and intelligent emotion, mental conversations, because they think we're pretending and that we don't know that there's suffering. And like the Dalai Lama told this dude who's like, how dare you smile in the face of all this suffering? Some of us have a responsibility. And I was like, yeah, even though we can't lift them up in their nervous system, but we still have a responsibility for the children who, even though we might not think that they can perceive our ventral vagal state, they will. Because guess what the suffering does for all those children who are suffering? Nothing. No, it does. It adds to their nervous system, since, as Tara Brach points out, and Stephen Porges, we're all nervous systems. And the people who don't understand that we're a frequency, and so that when they don't learn how to be anchored in ventral energy, they are affecting the entire globe. I'm okay with that because I know how to self-regulate, and I got used to the human beings. I got opened up to not only my oversoul, from my oversoul to the earth. I'll never forget that day. To the earth, to the cosmos. It was amazing. If you're a mystic in the 5D, you're going to have fun here. I know that, because 4D completely. I mean, wow. I am so entertained. We'll be back with more. In the meantime, again, being strong and smart means that you ask for help. You know you'll need help. And when you fall down, you know that help will come. And if somebody pushes you or whatever happens, it's okay. It happens. You know, out of all of the functional child adults, you're going to meet some of the adaptive child part people. Just some. And then you're going to have a good time over here. And we're going to have your stories. You're going to tell us all about your adaptive child part people. I think we're going to do a series of that so we can exchange notes. And we're going to use Pinocchio and Peter Pan and Lost Boys. We're not going to do any kind of, it's always vague, because, again, we do know they didn't choose their... It's unfortunate they didn't choose any of it. Oh, there are different soul age groups, and it does make a difference. But you still have choice points. Nothing is set in stone. You can always choose Dharma, and Karma is something that we always balance. Walk like an Egyptian and more. So again, remember, let's play with words. Let's have a good time. And then let's keep on rocking and rolling. Have a good one.